The sun had barely risen when Jamal Hayes stepped out of his black SUV and into the marble-floored lobby of Hayes Industries, a billion-dollar construction and design empire built from the dust by his own two hands. His face was chiseled with focus, his suit wrinkle-free, and his eyes weary from another sleepless night. But what he didn't know was that this particular day, unlike any other, was going to change everything. He was a man of routine. Black coffee, a glance at the blueprints, a meeting with the department heads. But that morning, something interrupted his pattern. Something soft, something small, a girl about 8 or 9, holding a worn teddy bear in one hand, clutching a pink backpack in the other, and wearing shoes a size too big. Jamal froze. She stood at the entrance of the executive hallway alone. "Sweetheart," he asked gently, "are you lost?" The little girl looked up at him. Her big brown eyes were wide, cautious. She walked up slowly, her voice no louder than a whisper. "There's a camera in your office," she said, and then she turned and walked away. Jamal blinked, stunned. "Wait," he called, but she disappeared into the corridor. Security guards were already scrambling to find out how she got in. No one knew. No one had seen her enter the building. No one had any idea who she was. By 10 a.m., Jamal was sitting in his office, staring at the ceiling, then at the corners of the room. He knew the layout. Every square inch of that space had been designed by him. If someone had planted a camera, it had to be recent. He called his head of security. "Sweep my office. Now, top to bottom." Within 2 hours, they found it. A tiny, almost invisible camera drilled into the frame of the painting behind his desk. A feed running directly to an off-site server, hidden in plain sight. Jamal felt the blood drain from his face. Someone had been watching him, listening to every call, every conversation. For how long? But why? He had trusted everyone around him. His board of directors, his assistant of 10 years, his managers, his operations team. Some of these people had been with him since the beginning. A pit formed in his stomach. He ordered a full security breach investigation. Files were pulled, laptops were scanned, office cameras were rechecked, including the ones employees didn't know about. The internal backups that only he and the cyber team knew existed. That night, Jamal didn't go home. He stayed in his office and watched footage. Weeks and weeks of footage. He watched people he trusted copy files onto USBs. He saw employees mocking him behind his back. Heard them discuss how they were planning to sell design prototypes to competitors. He saw money being exchanged in envelopes. He saw betrayal repeatedly. Then he saw her, the little girl, sitting in a break room with his janitor, Nia. The janitor, the one no one talked to. She cleaned, swept, took out the trash, and no one even knew her name. But the little girl, she called her mom. Jamal stared. The next day, at 9 a.m. sharp, he walked into the boardroom where his executive team was gathered. Calm, cold, without emotion. "I know," he said simply. Their expressions froze. One by one, he began listing names, dates, transactions, video stills. They squirmed, denied, panicked. But it was useless. The evidence was overwhelming. By noon, half the office was empty. Over 20 people were fired, including his assistant, his vice president, even the head of security. News spread like wildfire. Staff whispered. No one knew the full story, but Jamal did. At 3 p.m., he walked down to the service hallway where the janitors stored their supplies. He knocked gently. Nia opened the door. Tears welled up in her eyes as she recognized him. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "My daughter, she didn't mean to cause trouble." Jamal held up a hand, stopping her. "What your daughter did," he said softly, "saved my company." She was speechless. He knelt down as the little girl peered from behind her mother's legs. "You were right," he whispered to her. "Thank you." The girl smiled shyly. Jamal stood and looked at Nia. "You never told anyone what you saw. You could have sold that information, taken money, but you didn't." "I just wanted to keep my job," she said quietly. "We live in a shelter. I can't afford to lose it." Jamal looked around the dim, forgotten hallway where she worked every day unnoticed. "You won't lose your job," he said. "You'll be getting a new one." She blinked. "Sir, I want you to be my new executive assistant." Nia gasped. "But I'm just—" "You're honest, and that's rare," he said. "You watched all that, and you still chose integrity. That's the kind of person I want next to me. Tears spilled down her cheeks. And your daughter, he added, smiling at the little girl. She has better instincts than most grown-ups in this building. That afternoon, he had a desk set up for Nia beside his office. And as for the girl, her name was Zoe. Jamal made sure she was enrolled in the best school in the city of Detroit. He paid for her tuition, meals, supplies, and even arranged therapy for the trauma she'd experienced living in shelters. In time, people forgot the firings, the betrayals, the headlines. But Jamal never forgot the whisper that saved his company. There's a camera in your office. As you can see, viewers of Sunny Spot, sometimes the smallest voice speaks the loudest truth, and sometimes the janitor's daughter ends up being the hero of a billion-dollar empire. Always listen, even when the voice is small. Truth and loyalty often come from the most unexpected hearts. And sometimes what saves you isn't power or status, but innocence, courage, and a little girl with wide eyes and a whisper.